Hi, welcome back to my garden. Today I wanted to show you around kind of a baby garden that we've been setting up the past like 6 months or so. We call it the shade garden, although it doesn't have too much shade yet, but we're planning on more shade for the future. And then it's set up kind of like a white garden. So the main flower color is white. And then we have like foliage of lots of different colors of green, from the kind of the bluier silvery ones to the more yellowy chartreuse and like deep glossy and like everything in between. There are a couple of roses that were here kind of before, so both of those are pink, but I didn't really want to take them out. And especially one of them, it only blooms for a pretty small period, but it looks so spectacular that for now at least, I think I'll keep it in. And in the future, if I get stricter about the color scheme, then I can always take it out. So, how this garden came about was we have this hedge, and this direction is north by northeast. So, it gets good morning sun pretty much all year round. In summer, it gets sun most of the day, except for like the evening. The sunset's kind of over there. And we had to shave like the tree. The hedge was like, it was neither hedge nor trees. It was something in between. So it was like a lot of like awkward, sticky outy growth that had kind of flopped under a couple years of like snow and stuff. So when we put the fence in this past year, we decided to actually trim the entire back of it off because it was so like brown and kind of like ugly, and also to keep the line straight from like the gate. Anyway, so eventually this can regenerate and can grow back. However, I kind of felt like I don't know if I wanted to leave it blank for 10 years while it does that. So I thought I would put in things that were generally a little bit lower. We do have a few small trees and stuff going in as well, but generally things that were low enough. Nothing as big as this tree that's already here that's kind of blocking the top of the hedge. So that way we could kind of enjoy the foreground and take the focus away from the background. And we also discovered that because of the lighting, the background is often kind of black or kind of muted. You don't like really see it. And all the white flowers and all the different colors of foliage like really pop. So it was kind of like a way to like use the space. And also there's so much lawn that we wanted to reduce it, mostly just for like the time it takes to mow. And also because we love the idea of, having like lots of different things growing and, attracting wildlife and all that. So, starting at the far end, so in order to reclaim or to claim parts of the lawn to turn into bed, I started off by shoveling the whole edge of it, and I basically cut it. It almost looked like chocolate or something. It was like cubes of soil with grass on it. And then basically I just like flipped those over. So as the grass kind of broke down, it should like, help feed the soil. And actually some things were growing like pretty vigorously without any extra fertilizer or anything. So I think that that actually worked. And then I just covered the whole thing with mulch. And then I come in and weed every now and again, like the buttercups still try to get through, or there's often lots of horsetail and things like that. But I don't know, it doesn't like really bug me. I kind of like the slightly more like natural look. But yeah, so I shaped the outer edge, and then the inside we basically just covered with mulch. Earlier, when like right after the fence was finished, I ended up like sheet mulching the whole back. So I did cardboard and then mulch on top just to kind of kill any of the grasses that had invaded. They're kind of the main like enemy for this bed because they're always trying to come back. And then in the corner, there's this like really kind of ugly tree. I'm not sure what happened. This is actually one of the branches from the main tree. I don't know if it was like getting too close to the power lines or something and it was cut, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about it. I think we may end up taking it out and putting something a little more appropriate for the space here. Um, at the foot of the tree, there's this, I think it's the blue elder. We have two native ones. And anyway, this one has like, it's covered in like big white flowers in the springtime. So it almost looks like a hydrangea or like that kind of a flower. So anyway, so that's really awesome and it's white, so it gets to stay. And then it has berries like later in the year, but I think the birds got them all already. It's one of our native ones, and this one definitely just like volunteered here. So I won't let it sucker and get like much bigger like width-wise. And because I'll cut it back every season or every other season so that we still get the blooms. I don't think it'll actually get too big. So this is 2 years growth, like 2 years since I cut it last. So this was a very budget-friendly garden. So most of the things here are either like bulbs or things we grew from seed. There are a few like kind of really young trees, and some things that we kind of got on sale. So like this little blue guy down here, there's actually five of them, and it was like this like really good deal where each one of these was $7. So we got five of them, and eventually those get like become like a pretty big mound. But I thought it would look nice to have something that's kind of like um, just like a flow through the entire bed. So we tried to do that with a few different things, and I'll show you the others as we go up. This is a Sukiori Dahlia. It's one of my favorites. It's super like lacy and full. The flowers don't last too long. Like I would say, even for a dahlia, it's like it starts to look a little raggedy pretty quickly. And we had like a little rain too, so it's not looking like its best. But it's generally pretty popular with the bees, so that's awesome too. And then back here, there's kind of a drift of cosmos and zinnias. So the zinnias, we have the Lime Queen and Oklahoma White. And then the cosmos are just like white ones, I think. I actually got those as plugs at the beginning of the season. It was like five of them. And then the zinnias we grew from seed this year. At the back here, we have this baby Saskatoon berry or service berry. So this is our native one. I'll have to look up the name. I think it's like Amelanchier alnifolia or something like that. But it has these like little blueberries in early summer that look kind of like blueberries and are edible, and it has white flowers earlier in the spring. And that one can eventually get to like 20 feet, but I think it'll take like quite a while. So for now, we'll just enjoy it as it grows. And then back here, I also have this Japanese maple. So one of our local nurseries had this like 25% off the first week that they were open for the season back in March. So we got like a couple Japanese maples. They weren't like that expensive to begin with, but it was just awesome getting the discount as well. So this one's called Koto Ono. And it's green all season, and then it kind of turns gold for the fall. So that should look pretty awesome. Tucked in here, there's also this Rosa Sharon that's really little that has like white flowers as well. And then, yeah, these are the zinnias. They did so well. Like, this is all one plant that's kind of just become like a huge clump. Back here, we had some white lilies as well that smelled so good. I'll see if I can find a picture because they finished blooming a little while ago. And then throughout this bed, we also planted these gladiolas. This is actually the last one to bloom, but it has these really pretty white flowers, and some of them have like a red in the center. This one actually doesn't. This one did. These ones, at least in the other bed where I tried them last year, they did perennialize and came back and bloomed. So I'm hoping that they'll do the same here. Although our winters can be quite wet, the way that this is sloped, it's just like slightly above grade and sloping down. So eventually, like some water might pool where the lawn is, but this part will always stay pretty dry. And then having the big hedge behind it too, those guys drop a lot of the water. So it doesn't tend to ever really get waterlogged. And then behind it, I have the tobacco. So these ones have been blooming all season. You can see like all their old flower heads that have become like little seed pods. This one should self-seed as well, and I'm happy for it to kind of just take over part of this clump. It's been doing so well. I haven't fertilized it once, and I didn't really like enrich in the soil other than like flipping the lawn over. But the flowers just smell so good. In the evening, I think more so, and in the morning actually, just like not so much in the middle of the day. But when we do like nighttime walk with the dogs and you walk past, you just get this like really nice aroma in the air. It's kind of like musky, a little bit sweet, like a little bit jasmine-y. And yeah, awesome. I also have these little trees that we got from like they were like $3 from the grocery store, and we got them to do some like winter arrangements. And at the end, like once the bulbs and stuff had bloomed out. I was like, I'll just put them in here. So there were three, and this one's doing the worst, but this one's doing the best. So I think this one will just like live here because it seems so happy. The other two I might actually dig up and use in arrangements again this winter. And then behind them here is the strawberry patch. So this is one of our native strawberries, called coastal strawberry, and it just has this like beautiful carpet. This was 5 plants like 3 months ago. So it's grown really well. And then I have two hydrangeas here that are Hydrangea arborescens, which is a North American native. It's like the parent of like Annabelle and like Incredible and all of those, or one of the parents. And these are two that I had propagated from another one that we had somewhere else. That was like this big mature one, and those have been doing really well. They haven't bloomed this year, but it's just their first season. But they have put on like a fair amount of new growth. So I think next year we might get a first bloom. I don't know if we'll keep it, but that's a different story. It just started to drizzle a little bit, so if you notice me talking faster, I think it's because I want to get through the whole bed before I get rained out. But I am grateful for the rain. It's been a pretty dry summer. Up here, there's this dogwood, and I don't know the actual variety of it, but it has these big, beautiful white flowers in like Maytime. I can put up a picture, and then growing through it is that big, beautiful climbing rose that I actually propagated successfully. So that's amazing. So I have a second one that's in a nursery pot, and I'm going to look for a different tree for it to climb up because it just looks amazing climbing up a tree. Down here, I've tried a few different things. There's a few jasmines or tobacco seedlings. This is a sedge that I had grown in a pot, and it got pretty big. So my plan is to let it overwinter here, and then next spring, maybe dig it up, chop it up, and put it back in a few different spots. So that's the last of those five little blue kind of sprucey juniper guys. I'm not sure exactly what they are, but the last of the five is over here. And then on this side, I have some lupins, which I just like love. And some of them are actually putting up another cone. Okay, not this one, but I see one over there. And they bloomed a lot like in like kind of May and June, and then stopped all summer, and now they seem to be going again. So that's awesome. This is the other rose that kind of doesn't fit in color wise, but the flowers are pretty small. And it kind of just like dots around all season. It doesn't really have like a huge flush, so I don't think it'll be distracting. But anyway, it looks cute for now. And then down here are a few like little dogwoods that I'm experimenting with. This one had kind of red and yellow stems in the winter. And this one is the one that has kind of limey stems. This is a cutting from one of the others, and I basically just like took the cutting like about 6 inches long and just stuck it in the ground, and then it grew these leaves. So it's definitely alive. It's not doing much this year, but I think next year it should put up some good growth. I feel like in winter, because we lose all our bright greens, it's so nice to have like that kind of color, even if it's from stems. And in front of the dark background, I think it'll look really nice too. And then over here, there's like this zinnia situation. So in the middle, there's this incredible hydrangea that my in-laws got me for my birthday, and I love it. It's kind of bloomed out now, and I think even gotten a little like crispy from how dry and sunny it was. But the zinnias underneath are kind of like here to take over. Like while it was blooming, the zinnias were still pretty small, and then now they're just like going to town. And these ones are kind of wild too because most of them have actually split open. We had a rainstorm kind of when they started blooming. So I want to say like mid-July, something like that. And when that happened, they kind of like split, or like some of the branches would fall. But then a lot of this growth is upright growth from those branches. So I kind of just like left them and didn't do anything. I probably should have staked them beforehand, but it felt like if I tried to stake them at that point, it wouldn't have helped and the branches would have just like broken off. We had kind of a windy night the other night as well, and you can see over here how this zinnia flopped over. I'm just going to leave it. It will look like a little bad for a few days, but there's so many side shoots that have been kind of just waiting patiently for their chance to grow. And now that they're getting all this sunlight, they're just going to shoot up in no time. Eventually, I might trim some of those, or if there's some good flowers, I can take them inside for drying or something. But yeah, for now, I just like I love that it just does its own thing. And then over here, we have this big root situation. We found it in the woods, and it was actually, there was like a secondary part here that I ended up putting in a different garden, and we had to cut it in half because I just like couldn't move it at all. Even to bring this up was like kind of a mission because we just had like the dolly and it kept wanting to fall off, and it was just like wild. But anyway, I'm so glad it's here. I've always wanted to have kind of like a stump garden, and this is like the start of it. I feel like it works really well too in kind of like a shadier situation. Hopefully, we'll get some mosses growing on it. And one of our native ferns, the licorice fern, is it's summer dormant, so it kind of disappears. But then in winter it comes back, and they grow all in like little cracks and stuff in like the bark of trees. So they kind of just like appear as like this little like fuzzy, green all over things. So I'm definitely gonna try and put some in here, and maybe put in some spring bulbs as well. Like some like little irises or tulips or something might look really cute. And then behind it over here, um, we have this like little walkway. So this was another part of the grass kind of reclamation project. So what I did was I love the feeling of walking on grass much more than walking on like wood chips, but I didn't want to have like lawn in the whole place, and we wanted to make this hosta bed here in the middle, which will right now it's pretty much just hostas and there's some heuchera too, but I want to add some ferns and I want to add a lot of spring bulbs. So I'll I'll definitely have spring bulb videos coming in like October time. But yeah, so basically what I did is I just wanted to keep parts of the lawn. So I took a pot and flipped it over, and then basically used like a knife or something to like cut all the way around the pot. And then I used the like edger to like, it looks kind of like a pogo stick with a blade at the bottom. So you like step it down and then you can like lift. So anyway, hopefully that works as a description. But I basically left these circles of lawn, and they just are like basically like lawn stepping stones so you can walk through this part. I'm not actually sure what this guy is, but it's like covered in white flowers and they last for like about a month. So yeah, hopefully I can figure that out. But it looks really nice. So it's kind of nice to walk here. And then down here, I have lots of like white bleeding hearts and things like that that bloom kind of at different times in the season. But there's something like, I don't know, a little bit secluded. And you also get like a different angle sitting here or standing here of the garden that I really like. Like, well, thanks for coming along on this little tour of our white slash shade garden. And I'll show you again, when there's more stuff to show as things kind of fill in, as the lupins bloom, as we add more things as well. And yeah, like I said, definitely adding more spring bulbs here. And I'll also keep an eye out for anything kind of winter interesty that looks good, more dogwoods and things like that. But yeah, I love how it's come along. I love how all the annuals have just made it look, like it's maybe been here for a little longer than about 6 months. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming along, and I'll see you next time.